There is no end in sight to the slowdown affecting global trade, and experts say you better buy your Christmas presents as early as possible. Why? Because you want to avoid any shortages. This morning, we're taking a look at what's behind this gridlock. Ramy Inocencio in China shows us ports and factories that are having trouble getting their products to this country. Then Carter Evans goes to one of those businesses that is waiting for the goods to come through the ports of Los Angeles and make their way to the state of New York.
Good morning from a helicopter above Hong Kong. One of the world's busiest cargo terminals is just right there in mainland China. It's called Yantian, and it is so important to U.S.-China trade because about a quarter of all the goods that U.S. buys from China gets processed through this one port.
It's how American Philip Richardson gets his high-performance speakers to U.S. consumers. That's been tough since the summer. Power cuts have been rippling across eastern China and still are.
If we're shut down for more than 15 minutes, then it creates a headache.
The electricity was on when CBS News visited his factory in Guangzhou, China's manufacturing metropolis. Workers assembled speaker drivers, installed them in cabinets, and boxed them up bound for the U.S. Up to 2,000 in a day. Richardson says the blackouts have meant wasted time and money.
And sometimes there's no notice. The power is shut down, and then 30 minutes later, we'll get a call from the village.
Kerr Gibbs is president of the American Chamber of Commerce in Shanghai.
The power supply problem here is somewhat of a perfect storm.
China has been trying hard to cut carbon emissions, but cuts in coal production have led to record prices. Utility companies hadn't been allowed to raise their fees to match until recently. Since they couldn't make money, they stopped making electricity. And it's not just a shortage of electrical power, but manpower at the ports because of COVID. Gibbs says workers must quarantine for 3 weeks after working a 2-week window, not an incentive to return.
They can be exposed to the COVID virus coming in through the supply chain. So that's what China is worried about.
Between the quarantines, the power outages, and the manpower problems, it's all led to higher costs even before those speakers leave China.
We're feeling the price pressures now.
I'm Carter Evans. Here in Middletown, New York, the costs keep adding up for those speakers from Phil's factory in China.
I used to pay maybe $12, per pair to get here. Now I'm paying like $60.
John Haber is CEO of Alto Music. He sells instruments and electronics nationwide and says shipping costs for everything have skyrocketed.
So it takes longer and it costs like 5 times as much.
That's what a bargain. That's unbelievable.
Haber started stocking up when the shipping logjam first hit the ports of LA and Long Beach.
So you got a room full of guitars?
Yeah, that I ordered 15 months ago that are just starting to come in now. That's how delayed it is. It's nuts.
These tiny electronics are critical to his top-selling audio device.
This is more valuable than gold to us.
But due to shortages overseas,
I'm sending them to China so they can make my products.
And send it back to you.
Exactly.
That sounds crazy.
It's nuts.
Many of these businesses are having a really hard time keeping up with the inflationary costs of shipping.
Bob Biesterfeld heads a global logistics company and fears the huge stacks of containers at the ports will likely remain without more truckers.
The trucking industry today is still down, 60 or 80,000 drivers. These are simply just not things that I believe are going to be solved over the course of the next weeks or months.
And with the holidays approaching, John Haber is unsure how long his stockpile will last.
So I could only suggest if you see something that you want and it's there, buy it. Buy it because you're not going to get it.
This week, the Port of Los Angeles started fining companies for leaving their containers here too long, $100 per day per container and up. That's just adding to the high cost of shipping, and Americans addicted to cheap and fast Chinese goods are paying the price.
All right, Carter Evans. Best advice that we heard, if you see something, buy something.
Yeah, I guess that's the only solution because it doesn't seem like this is going to end in time for Christmas.
But you know what? You don't pay attention, guys, to these stories until it's something you want. Now, all of a sudden, Christmas is coming. You're thinking, yeah, I better get on it. That's why it's important when we do these stories that people.
It's creating.
It's
that
a wake-up
awareness.
call. It's a wake-up call
Yeah,
for
you're
those of
right.
you watching.
You have the holiday season. You have birthdays. You might as
Yeah.
well get what you see if it's
Yes.
available.
That's right.
Put it in the storage space. Yeah.
And expect to pay more too.
I know.